So that's a big subject. So the thing that I can share with you today that all of us can work on, because I'm going to give you some tools, is something simple called attitude. Now let me ask you all a question. As sales professionals, as top sales professionals, how important on a scale of 0 to 10 is attitude in your business? 10, right? To 20, 10. I mean, that's what I hear. Every sales team I ever ask, 10, Dan, 10. Of course, that's what I expect. I have never heard a sales team say, it's about a 4, whatever. No, 10. The problem is we're human beings, and that's not that easy. So let's talk about it. The reason I love talking about attitude is a choice. It's a choice. I mean, we can't control the stock market, the interest rates, what's happening in our economy, the weather, but each and every one of us in this room can wake up, put our feet on the floor, and make a decision about how we're going to show up every single day. It's a choice. You don't need a degree. You don't have to have a certain dress code or drive a certain kind of car or a certain education. It's a choice on how you want to show up every single day. And just for fun, I like to measure my attitude on a 0 to 10 scale. 10 is unstoppable and on fire, and 0 is kind of like that person laying on the park bench on Saturday. No energy. So the key is keeping it closer to a level 10. Now, you've all heard that saying that you get out of life what you put into. How many people would agree that you get out of life what you put into it? Show of hands. Yeah, I mean, I believe that. I see this all. You probably don't see this with you guys, but I've seen it in corporate America. You know that person, right? You see him during the week, and you go, hey, Bob, how's it going? Not too bad for a Monday. Hey, Bob, how's it going? Oh, it's Wednesday. Whoop, whoop. All right. Hey, Bob, how's it doing? How you doing? Oh, thank God it's Friday. Jeez. Are you kidding me? They got 2 good days a week, Tuesday, Thursday. That's what they're, right? That's great. I mean, I totally believe that you get out of life what you put into it. If you're walking around with a level 4 mood or a level 4 attitude, that's kind of what you get back from people. Would you agree, yes or no? If you're walking around with some energy, level 8, 9, or 10, you get back that kind of energy. Now, I got to tell you something. Something happened to me years ago that really cemented this in my brain about the power of attitude. So I started my professional speaking career before 2000, but I was doing some stuff before that. But early 2000, one of my first big events was a couple hundred people, all primarily men, dressed in the white shirts, real stuffy, a lot of testosterone, and very judgmental. And I'll never forget this. I was a little bit nervous about it. Stage was about like this, but it was a smaller group, about 200 people. And I was kicking it off right before the CEO. And I was nervous about it. It was my first big event. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go meet a couple people in the crowd to calm my nerves. That way, when I get on stage, I'll be better. So I'll never forget this. I hadn't been introduced yet, obviously. I was hanging around down here. So I said, I'm going to start on this side of the room. I walk over and thought I'd meet somebody and shake somebody's hand. I'm like, how you doing, sir?
Hey, how you doing?
He wasn't a nice gentleman like Mark. This guy says to me, and I kid you not, I said, how's it going? I expected something positive. He was a sales guy. He looks at me and he goes, can't complain. I mean, no one's listening anyway. All right, Mark, way to go. I'm thinking, are you kidding me right now? Did that really happen? I said, that must have been, let me check this side of the room. My brain is scrambled. So I walk over to this side of the room, looking for somebody else to say hi to, and I see another gentleman over here, and I say, hey, what's going on?
How's it going?
Wasn't a nice guy like Richard. Now get this. I was speaking before the CEO, and I say, how's it going, Richard? And it was like everything he could do to say hi. He looks up at me and he says like this. He says, another seminar, another day, another speaker. I'm like, okay. So, needless to say, I was even more nervous after that. I got up, I did a great job, went really well. I go to the back of the room. The VP of sales who hired me, his name was Kevin. Kevin's like, come on back here. So he came back, he goes, great, first of all, great job, they loved you. He goes, but I got to tell you, he said, I saw what you did before you got introduced. I'm like, yeah? He looked at me and he goes, out of all of my guys, you picked those two guys. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, Dan, we're firing those two on Monday. And I'm thinking to myself, well, of course. How can those guys expect to attract business in their life? I mean, let's face it, they're at an event, but that's not how you treat people in sales. And so they're going to other pastures, I guess. So the law of attraction, this is something that came in vogue years and years ago, but I believe that we attract people in our life who are most like us. And as salespeople, ladies and gentlemen, this is so important, is we attract people into our life who are most like our attitude. I mean, think about it. If you want to be around more positive people as a human being, as a sales professional, if you want to attract more positive prospects, you want to do business with more positive people, then it would make sense that we need to become more what? Yeah, I mean, if we want to be more around positive people, we need to be more positive. If you want more love in your life, you need to be more loving. If you want to be understood, you need to be understanding. If you want respect, you need to be more respectful. But if you want to be around more positive people, we need to be more positive. I got to tell you, I did an event in Chicago years ago, and I talked about this very thing right here. This gentleman comes up after the event, and he said, hey, can I talk to you? And I popped off the stage, and I said, what's happened? He said, he had his hands in his pocket, and he was kind of looking down, and he goes, man, I was thinking about that law of attraction thing. I'm like, yeah? And he's looking at his feet, and he looks up at me, and I swear to you, he looks up to me, and he says, geez, Dan, all my friends are jerks, right? So, of course, I tried to play it off. I'm like, yeah, well, you know, recognition is the first step, you know. So, and I say that lightheartedly because, you know, there's some people in here maybe don't operate at that high level for attitude. And so if you're listening to me talk about that, about showing up and being your best and the law of attraction and a level 10, I mean, if you're hearing me have that conversation and you're being honest with yourself and you're saying to yourself, I'm not there, you know, I'm a 5, I'm a 6, I'm a 5 on a good day. I mean, if that's you right now, or if that's somebody you know, the question is, can you change that attitude, yes or no? Can you change the attitude, yes or no? And when can you change it? Now. You can change it right now. I mean, I don't care if you've been Debbie Downer for the last 20 years. You can walk out of this room today and make a decision to be somebody else. It's not a skill. I mean, it is a skill, but it's a decision. You need to learn how to have a winning attitude. It's a skill, but it's something that you can do. So this is maybe one of the most important things you're going to learn today. Law of association. We've all heard of the law of association from a guy named Ivan Pavlov. Everybody familiar with Pavlov? What did he do? Yeah, he was the guy that had the dogs. He was actually a Russian physiologist who was doing experiments on the digestive system of dogs, but he came to be a very famous psychologist, if you will, because of his study. So the quick story is he had these dogs in a controlled environment, and they were hungry. He'd put out food, ring a bell. When he put out the food, the dogs would start to salivate and eat. Dogs salivate to release the enzymes so they can digest the food. So it went like this. Puts out food, rings the bell, dogs salivate. Puts out food, rings the bell, dogs salivate. Pretty soon, the dogs know that the bell means what? Food. So so what happened, it was actually an accident. Somebody in the back, rang the bell on accident. The dogs started salivating. They were conditioned to the bell. Are you with me? Why am I telling you this about Pavlov's dogs as successful sales professionals? Well, here's why. Whether we like it or not, myself included, people are making associations about us every single day, whether we like it or not. So here's what I mean by that. If I saw you out in the field and I saw you once a week or something, I saw you, we passed or we saw at a restaurant or whatever, And every time you saw me, I was in that level 10 mood, giving you positive feedback, making you feel good, giving you sincere compliments, helping you get better. Pretty soon you're like, man, I like that Dan guy. I like him a lot. He's positive. So pretty soon you get a positive association to me, right? So over time, pretty soon what happens is all you have to do is see my face, hear my voice, see my car drive up, or even see an email come through, and boom, you literally start to feel good. And I say that because I guarantee right now there's somebody in your life right now that all you have to do is see their face and hear their voice, and you start to feel tired and depressed. True or not true? It's true. I've had lunch with clients afterwards and felt like taking a nap. I mean, people are making associations about you every single day. Now, oh, this is good. Question for you, excuse me. Do you think associations can have an impact on your personal life too, yes or no? Yeah, this is bonus information, by the way, bonus information. I think about this stuff all the time. I'm kind of just a psychology geek, and I think about this stuff all the time. So when I come home at night, and I hit the garage door opener, and if my wife Jennifer is in the house somewhere, like near the kitchen, she can hear that garage door go up. You know that sound, right? She can hear that vibration. She knows I'm home. So it happens every time. I hit the garage door, and I can see her car if she's home, and I'm thinking, what is going through her head right now? I mean, seriously, does she hear the garage door? And is she going, yeah, woo, Dan's home, yeah. That's what I'm working on anyway. Or does she hear that garage door? And she's saying, already? Because it's not something she has to think about. She doesn't hear the garage door and then go through a questioning process about, how does Dan make me feel right now? No, it's automated. It's in her nervous system based on how we've been interacting. Does that make sense? As a sales professional, you have to understand when you're making calls, you're walking in on customers, they are making an association about you every single time. So attitudes are one of the things we can control. And so if we are doing ourselves a disservice if we don't understand the value of a winning attitude. Because you don't want to be the guy or the girl that comes in and they're like, oh, here they come again. Because if you're not bringing value, not bringing a good attitude, right? So it's called association, and it happens we see it all the time in today's world. You've seen people, answer their cell phones, they pick it up and they go, oh, and they put it back in their pocket. They know what's on the other line already. So I want to give you a couple tools, a couple things you can do right now, have some fun, and change your attitude. Would you like to see it? Say yes. Excellent. Now, this is my favorite one, and this one changed my life. I know that sounds really cliche, and it's true. It changed my life. I started doing this about 20 years ago, and it's called a greeting strategy. Now, first of all, we have to kind of set this up. When you go meet somebody, when you're walking around, you go to a grocery store, you see them at church, or wherever you do, you see them at work, how do you typically greet people? What do you say to them? Yeah, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's happening? What's up? Depending on the context of your relationship. Now, you already know this intellectually, but I'm going to tell you anyway. When people are asking us how you're doing, they're not really asking you how you're doing, right? It's just a greeting. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's happening? Because if you start telling them how you're doing, they're going to stop asking you how you're doing, right? They're not expecting you to talk about the week. It's just like, hey, it's all right, it's all good, right? So I figured this out years ago. I said, well, since they're not really asking, not because they're bad people, but since they're not really asking me, I'm going to bring it. I'm going to have some fun with it. So you can call me anytime, day or night. I don't care what time it is, and say, hey, Dan, how's it going? What's happening? What's going on? I'm going to give you a few responses all the time. I'm on fire. I'm unbelievable. I'm unstoppable. I'm incredible. And ladies and gentlemen, as silly as that sounds, it literally changed my life. You know that most people aren't around enough positivity on a daily basis? You know that? Most people don't get enough positivity on a daily basis. I'll never forget when I started this whole process. I was going to get a rental car. I put my bag down, and the woman that was behind the counter, she was sidetracked. She was multitasking. She was having some issues. And I came up to the counter, and she goes, "How you doing, sir?" You've probably seen that before, right? She was just distracted. So she goes, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm on fire." She looked up at me. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I am." And she literally snapped right there. She goes, "I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm totally in the weeds right now. I'm multitasking. First of all, Mr. Lier, thank you for being our loyal customer. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Oh, wow, you're pretty tall. You probably need an upgrade, don't you? Let's get you out of here." I mean, let's face it. She was distracted. She was a nice person, but she was in the weeds. And so that simple greeting kind of brought her back to reality, and she had a positive association with me. Not too long ago, I was in Salt Lake City Airport in the Southwest Airline Terminal, and there was a little sundry store right across from the Wendy's. So I walk in there to get some gum, right? Put the gum down, and the woman says, "How you doing, sir?" like she says to thousands of people a day. And I said, "I'm unbelievable." She literally dropped the gum. She put her hands on her hips, and she goes, "Are you really?" And I said, "Yes, I am." She goes, "Oh my God, is that nice to hear?" I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "What do most people say?" She goes, "They don't say anything. They don't say a thing at all. They just act like they don't hear me, or they're on their phones and they walk out." I said, "Oh, geez, that's too bad." And we're doing a little small talk, and I we do the transaction. There's like 5 people behind me. And I'm walking out, and this woman turns to me, and she says, "Sir, come back tomorrow. I could really use your energy." Now, I got a kick out of that because she sees 1,000 people a day. And the fact that my simple greeting made a difference in her and brightened her up, and she created a positive association with me is so valuable, right? It's your identity you're creating in your space. So listen, you guys are a really fun group. So I'm going to see how you do. I'm going to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? You're going to respond with, "I'm on fire." All right, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing?
I'm on fire.
That's not bad. Hey, Rick, where's those fire things at, Rick? Let's try that again. Ladies and gentlemen, how we doing?
I'm on fire.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you very much. How about unstoppable? Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing?
Unstoppable.
Very good. How about unbelievable? Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing?
Unbelievable.
Very good. Now, I got to be transparent with you. I had a woman come up to me not too long ago, and she says to me, "Can I talk to you, Dan?" I'm like, "Of course. What's going on?" She goes, "I'm not using that strategy. I don't like it." I'm like, "Okay." I said, "I'm sure you have a good reason for that. Do you mind if I ask you what that is?" And she says to me, she goes, "Well, you are not being sincere. You are not being sincere to these people. You are not always in a good mood." And I said, "You're right, I'm not in a good mood all the time, but we've already determined that people really don't care, right?" I mean, sometimes I am unbelievable, and then other times I'm unbelievably bad. But when I meet someone, I'm just unbelievable. And so she took it and went home with that, I guess. I don't know if she's using it or not, but I encourage you to give it a shot because it's made a huge, huge difference in my life. Oh, I've got one more for you. Probably shouldn't use this in your business, but it sure is fun personally, and it goes like this: "I'm on fire, baby." So, so ladies and gentlemen, how you doing?
I'm on fire, baby.
Incomes are rising, baby. That's good. So the next one I'm going to share with you, I shouldn't even talk about this, but I'm going to give you a quick one on it. As a sales professional, as someone looking to grow their market and grow their business, you cannot be sharing your baggage with your customers or your clients or your prospects. Are you with me? Say yes.
Yes.
Cannot do it. Cannot. We've all have issues. I mean, we all have issues, big issues, small issues, imaginary issues. We have issues. But you cannot share your stuff with people that you're calling on. I mean, can you imagine if William introduced me today? He says, oh, I've got this great speaker. You're going to be so excited. Mr. Dan Lier, best-selling author, TV show, this, that, and the other, #1 speaker in Vegas. Let's hear it for Mr. Dan Lier. And y'all start clapping. Go ahead. Go ahead. And I come up here this afternoon, and here's what I do. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Wow, this year is a good-looking group. You're looking pretty fired up. I'm your motivational guy. And we're going to talk about how to master the art of selling. I got to tell you, I'm usually a little bit better than this. But my wife and I are having some issues right now. What are you laughing about? I mean, because you know, like, relationships are like the seasons, right? And we are in the dead of winter at my place. My son is having some challenges in school, and my daughter's been texting 50 Cent. So if you stick with me for a while, I'm kind of like a fourth quarter player. And anyway, so that skit's over, all right? Can you imagine if I did that? What would you be saying in your head? Oh, get this guy out of here. Are you kidding me? So the fact is, people care about you, but they don't care about you that much. In business. So find a great friend or a therapist, but do not bring your baggage to work. If you believe that, say yes. Yes. Last but not least, just be your best. Be the best you can be. You know, people, again, just being transparent with you, people have come up to me and say, well, that's easy for you to say, Dan, you're this motivational guy. I don't wake up happy. I'm not that kind of person. Well, that's just not the way it is. It's just about being your best. It cracks me up. I've had people come up to me and say, man, how do you do it? How do you do what you do? How do you stay so up? Are you always like this? No, I'm not always like this. This would be annoying if I was always like that. I mean, can you imagine me walking through Kmart with my kids? Yeah, it's Kmart, woo! Walmart maybe, but not Kmart. The point is, just be your best. I mean, if your best today is an 8, then bring it. If that's your best as an 8, bring it. Make you the best 8 you can be. If your best is a 7, bring it, because maybe tomorrow you can get to an 8. Just be the best you can be. It's like anything else. You got to work on yourself to get to where you want to go. You know, we're human beings. It's not always perfect. We have issues. We have family things come up. We have disappointments. But if you can understand that when I'm meeting my customers and clients, I have to put myself in that 8, 9, and 10 mode, you will make more money. Does that make sense, yes or no?